A lot of men who were black men who were engaged in a lot of the civil rights movements, the black power movements, the religious movements around the country, and with the counterintelligence program, J.A. Hoover and them, when they actually set out, they actually set out to destroy these movements. A lot of these guys ended up in prison. Some of them was murdered. You see what I'm saying? And you know, there's some of them was stigmatized with lies and false information. So they brought down a movement. And incarceration became a tool for that. Yes. And I was a victim of that. I was a victim of the culture, the racist culture of the criminal justice system.
Behind bars for a crime he did not commit. And now Suffolk County is taking a step towards making amends. Today they announced a settlement with Keith Bush for taking away so much of his life.
And I attended a party. And one of the persons at the party that I know, her name was Sharice Watson. She was a young girl. She went to school, and she was found murdered, viciously murdered, like 2 blocks away.
Mike Marza has the details.
Keith Bush awarded after paying 33 years of his freedom for crimes he did not commit.
There is a cost to every injustice that occurs, a moral cost, a cost to the individuals and to their families.
Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone announcing this settlement with the county.
Mr. Keith Bush, I pray that I do justice and honor to your words and thoughts today.
The deputy county executive read Bush's statement.
As for me, I lost everything of significance. No amount of money can make up for what was taken from me.
A judge exonerated Bush in 2019.
But there was something that drove me, that enabled me to continue to fight.
Keith Bush was convicted in the 1975 murder of Sharice Watson in North Bellport. He was a 17-year-old junior. She was 14. He served 33 years in prison, maintaining his innocence.
As county executive, on behalf of the people of this county, I am so sorry for what you unjustly endured here.
A 9-month Suffolk County investigation found his written confession was false, likely coerced by police. Detectives manufactured a murder weapon, a hairpick, from Bush's home. And prosecutors didn't disclose that police had interviewed another possible suspect who died in 2006. Keith Bush served more than half his life in prison. He's now 64 years old.
44 years of my life will remain trapped inside of a nightmare. If memory is the only gift I can leave this world with, then mine will be scarred forever.
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? You know, this your boy Gloves. You know, I just want to, before we get to the video, I just want to say a few things. Like, one, this video is not for the immature crowd. Two, you know, the way that this man articulate his words is extraordinary. I tried to get him to go in more depths on certain things. Obviously, when y'all tune in, y'all will see, you know, he's very good at articulating himself. This was like, I honestly gotta say, this was like one of my best freaking interviews. You know, I got a couple that's up there, but this just shot past a lot of interviews. This was very emotional. This is part of my family. You know, he is my family. So I got an opportunity to listen to some history and stuff like that. And it's just wow. Like, it's just wow. So please tune in. I don't want to hold y'all up. I know y'all are intrigued. Heart this, please. But heart this, share this, let everybody know.
First of all, you know, I have a show called Gloves Off, but on Gloves Off, we don't sugarcoat, we don't beat around the bush, we don't bite our tongue. That's the only rules. If you don't want to answer a question, you're more than welcome not to. You know what I mean? The objective is to just be truthful. You feel what I'm saying? And you can ask me questions too. It's not about like me just like drilling you with questions. It's like, hold on, how do you perceive that? You can ask me too. So, well, first of all, I would like for you to state who you are, your name, You know what I'm saying? And where were you born and raised at?
Yeah, my name is Keith Bush, Keith Tyrone Bush. Usually I use all three of those titles in my identification.
Yes.
I was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Okay.
And I was raised up until like my early teens in Bridgeport. But I moved between Bridgeport and Long Island. So I had two bases that I were raised up
Long Island, New York?
Long Island, New York. My mother is from Long Island. She's a part of the native tribes of Long Island. So she's a Shinnecock and Setaukean.
Ooh.
And her roots are deep in Long Island. So she brought us to, we went back and forth, you know, and eventually because my mother and father separated young when I was young, and she went to Long Island.
Okay.
My father stayed here. So I went to Long Island, I stayed with my mother. But I also had this passion for Bridgeport. So I would come back to Bridgeport in the summer and I would stay with my father.
Okay.
So I would go back and forth. Sometimes I would switch and I would go to school out in Long Island.
So how old, you saying, around what age were you when you going back?
We're talking about the 9th grade.
Oh, okay.
Grade,
Okay.
11th grade as a teenager.
Yes.
As a teenager.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, I would go to Long Island. You know, and we played ball on Long Island. We won the championship. We went undefeated.
Okay.
National championship on Long Island. And in fact, I brought a lot of the brothers from Long Island to Connecticut.
To play ball and stuff?
And because Aldo and Tisdale and all of them, and Calvin Robinson and all of them, we all grew up together. So I brought them two together.
Okay.
And we all played ball. You know, we played ball and everything. But even when I went to prison, a lot of them dudes developed relationships. So they came back and forth over the years and became great friends.
Okay.
You know, but you know, we had you know, in those days it was about, you know, we played ball and you know, we chased the girls and you know, we did all the things that people normally do. We competing. You got skills, you got talent, you represent something, you shine. You know, and people identify and respect you by the way you shine.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of these things was part of growing up, but it was all part of a system.
Okay.
And this system was molding and shaping us a certain type of way. And a lot of the ways in which it molded and shaped it, it left us vulnerable for what came. And what would come would be incarceration.
Right.
And what around what years were we talking? This is like 84, 85?
No, we're talking about, we're going into the 70s.
Oh, 70s.
Before the crack era and all that. Before they planted those drugs in our communities. Before that, it was because we got to remember, in the 60s and everything, a lot of black men who were engaged in a lot of the civil rights movements, the black power movements, the religious movements around the country. And with the counterintelligence program, J.A. Hoover and them, when they
you talking history.
Yeah, they actually set out to destroy these movements. A lot of these guys ended up in prison.
Right.
Some of them was murdered. You see what I'm saying? And you know, there's some of them was stigmatized with lies and false information. So they brought down a movement. And incarceration became a tool for that.
Yes.
And I was a victim of that. I was a victim of the culture. The racist culture of the criminal justice system that was unchecked. And as a result of that, they kidnapped me. And for 44 years, they took my life from me. I had to fight them 44 years to get it back.
For 44 years. So now, before we even get to that part, because that's going to be the
we get to that.
next step.
We get to that. Gloves off.
Yeah, gloves off. Before we get to that part, I would like to ask you, pertaining to, did you grow up with both parents in the household, one parent? And I know you say you was going back and forth, but more predominantly. Put it like that.
My mother and father separated when I was young.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yes.
They separated when I was very young. And because they were separated, I was raised basically by my mother.
Okay.
And my mother, she has two other sisters, Barbara and Vivian, and they were very close. So a lot of these three families, they were raised up together, and we were raised up on and Fairfield on Brentwood Avenue because my grandfather, my mother's father, this dude was a genius.
Okay.
People don't know he he did a lot of patents.
Okay.
You know, even stuff like the supermarkets and the caravans and all that. He was writing about that stuff before that was even conceived. They bought a lot of his patents for like $35. That's a lot of money back then.
Right.
But what he did, he took a lot of his money and he brought up a lot of land, and he started buying up stuff.
Okay.
Right. That's how he built this house in Long Island.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of his patents, a lot of them, you know, they don't know what happened to him. But this dude, he was a visionary.
Okay.
But I was raised primarily in Long Island until we moved to Connecticut.
Okay.
I mean, to Long Island. But I wanted to come back to Bridgeport. So I came back to Bridgeport. And I was primarily raised by my family.
Yes.
My father, I stayed with my father. Who was, you know, I went to basketball, but I was there like a half a year. Then I was in Harding. I was in the East End. So I was back on the East End. I was raised up on the East End.
Okay.
That's where, not raised up. I lived on every part of town in Bridgeport.
Yes.
I'm a Bridgeportian.
Yes.
Oh, Bridgeportian.
Yes,
I like that. I like that.
And I'm the son. I'm the grandson. I'm one of the grandsons of the Bush boys.
Yes.
Right. And they had a big family.
Yes.
In Bridgeport.
Okay.
Right. And they used to call them the One Punch Brothers and the Bush Boys and all that. But you know, there was a lot of them. There was a big family, but they stuck together.
Yes.
Right. And that's interface.
Yes.
Now, when you stick together, that's the glue. And if you build principles in those glues, then it can guide you where you want to go.
Right.
And if you have loyalty with those principles, you can seize things.
Right.
But they didn't seize things because they were programmed to violence and programmed to negativity. The way we were raised, the way y'all are raised, it's all by design.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But the great ones that when they see it and they read through it, you know what I'm saying? Then they pave their own way and open up those doors. But they become the greatest threat.
Definitely. So now, what age did you end up catching your case? So how old were you when you caught your case?
When I got arrested, I was 17 years old.
And
I was living in Long Island. I attended a party. I knew a lot of the people in Long Island back and forth. I attended a party. We go to parties just about every week. Long Island was, particularly Bellport, was the area where there was, a lot of parties. And the people knew each other. They respected each other. And I attended a party. And one of the persons at the party that I know, her name was Sharice Watson. She was a young girl. She went to school. And she was found murdered.
Right.
Viciously murdered, like 2 blocks away.
Okay.
Right? And that sent shockwaves, not only in my community, but throughout the nation.
Yes.
At the time, it was a highly publicized crime. It was a heinous, diabolical act.
Right.
And there was a pressure on. Now, I'm in a county where you have a system, a criminal justice system that operates in a vacuum. I don't know how they operate because I ain't never been involved in criminal justice affairs. You follow what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is that someone identified me as a person that was leaving the party with the victim and made me a suspect.
Right.
They interviewed me right after the murder. Like they interviewed hundreds. There was like over 100 people at that party throughout the course of the night. And I gave them a statement on my account to what happened. I know her. She spoke to me. She introduced the girl to me. I know them all. I know her. Yeah. So when this girl says that, she makes me a suspect, and as a result of that, they lured me into their possession, placed me in communicado.
Okay.
Right? And then once they did that, they seized me, and then they attacked me, trying to force me to sign a confession.
Right.
And when it was like 3 of them, and when I was breaking out of that, 3 more came in where they seized me.
Okay.
And they were forcing, all they wanted me to do is just sign this piece of paper.
Right.
And it was physically,
like they was holding me down, hitting me upside my head with a book. They was slamming it in my head.
Right.
I didn't really have a problem, but when they was opening my leg, they were kicking me, like in my groin, to the point that I didn't know if they was going to kill me.
Right.
So the only thing I could think of at that time was that, listen, just do what they say. Once I get out, because I ain't do nothing.
Right.
When I get out, I'm coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Because I can't die without a fight.
Yeah, no doubt.
You already put your hands on me, so I'm destroyed.
Yes.
I don't even care about while I'm in prison. I'm destroyed. I want revenge. That's how I felt as a kid.
Yes.
Now I grew into that, but these are processes that go on when you go through these periods of incarceration.
Yes, yes.
And when you go through those periods, you'll start. They're like entities, emotions, stress, rage, anger, pain, hurt. All these things are seeking the right to control your seat of power.
Yes.
You know, once they get inside you, they dictate the terms.
Yes.
You seen it in behind the walls.
Yes.
Walking around there, dropping down cigarettes, taking medication, or they're running around here, they're angry, stabbing up people, got 100 more years on top.
Right.
They've been seized.
Yes.
And this is what these are the things that they visit you.
Absolutely.
And they visit me. My first visitor was rage after hurt and pain.
Right.
But I had to go out of it because it was eating me up.
Yeah. Yes.
But anyway, I went, when I got, when they did that, when I went into prison, I was in like 17, 18 months. And in that period, I was 17. In that year and a half, I grew from like 17 to like 30.
Right.
You had to grow up fast.
I grew up real fast.
Absolutely.
Now, when I went in there was death threats on me.
Yes.
They put me in solitary confinement. I don't even know where I'm at.
Right. It's your first experience inside the criminal justice system.
You never been in jail before, ever prior to this?
None of that.
Wow. So this is your first experience. Right. You have a murder.
So check it out. So now when I find out that, you like the dude, like you got OG, they call them spades. They put me in segregation with these guys. Every time they get in the fights, they put them in a box. It was filled, so they put them in this section called segregation. So Spade was the first one to school me.
Right.
He was when he said, he asked me like, did you sign a confession? I said, well, what's a confession? Right. I don't know what the fuck this shit is. I'm thinking I'm getting out. And these people put their hands on me.
That's all.
I'm going to get my father. Bush boys, because they put their hands on me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's teaching me. He's saying, man, he's telling me, you signed your life away. What is you talking about?
Right.
Now I'm waking. This is the stuff that's waking you up.
And
he's telling you about the system.
Yes. Right.
And then when I found out that they had me in protective custody for that, so I said, how do I get out of here?
Right.
He said, well, you got to write to the superintendent, to get out of there.
Right.
But he was trying to say, man, maybe you should wait a while because, this is a crime.
Yeah.
I said, man, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm going out.
Right.
So I asked him to show me how, so he helped me write a letter at that time. And I sent it to the superintendent. I spoke to the captain.
Right.
He said, well, you have people threatening your life. Blah, blah. I said, man, I ain't got no enemies, but I don't want to be in if I ain't got to be in a cage, I don't want to be in a cage.
Right. Facts. That's a fact.
You could jump me. I'm not really worried about that.
Right.
Listen, I ain't got no wins.
Right.
If people jump me.
Right.
I know that, but I know the first couple.
Right.
When I'm coming out of it.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I came out.
Okay.
I came out. And that's where I did my time. That whole time in the county jail for 17 months, I came out. And before I left there, they was looking up to me. Because I learned the whole system.
Right.
I started learning quick.
Right.
Seeing people go, people coming, going home, coming back, and just watching them. They sitting there just bringing me through these proceedings.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Now I got to go in the law by try to learn this law. And what is this crap?
Right.
Drop it down, pick it up. You don't know that you got to depend on your lawyer. This is how this thing is designed.
Right.
So now, bam, I get convicted.
How long it took for you to get a conviction? Was it like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
I did like 17, 18 months. I got convicted, and The verdict was like 3.5 days. It was the longest deliberation verdict in Suffolk County history at that time.
Right.
Because it was a circumstantial case.
Yes.
There was a lot of evidence in the case that was great. They had the witness that they claimed that said she left the party with me. Everybody she mentioned in her statement, the district attorney couldn't collaborate, not one person.
Okay.
They couldn't even produce one person, the defense or the prosecution witness that actually seen her at the party. There's no one ever seen her there. He couldn't produce one person.
Okay.
And this is what you're relying on.
Right.
But it gets deeper than that.
Okay.
Okay.
It gets deeper than that.
So how did they find the conviction if they couldn't produce somebody? Like, how did you sit there for 40 plus years fighting for your freedom?
Yeah, I'm back. It's about to get deeper. It's getting deeper, y'all. I know y'all been tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Please share, like, and follow. Please inform this to other people. Share it to other people. Go ahead. Get back into it, man. Shout outs to everybody that followed Gloves Off, share. You know what I mean? I would love to get y'all on my episodes, especially if y'all got really some genuine stuff to talk about. Y'all already know the rules. We don't sugarcoat. We'll beat around the bush or bite our tongue. Let's get into it.
Because they relied on corruption. They relied on the confession. They relied on the police expert testimony, the medical examiner's testimony, because the victim had some puncture wounds in her lower back, and they were trying to determine what it was. They thought it was a pick, and they examined this pick, and they tried to conclude that this pick, may have caused the puncture wounds. And the expert witness, he gets on the stand and gives his opinion that he thinks this pick caused it.
Right.
And then they have fibers they found that were similar fibers in comparison.
Okay.
So one of the expert witnesses gets on and say, well, I think that these fibers match the jacket that he was wearing.
I think.
But in his opinion, in his professional expert opinion, right? This is what he said.
Right.
Now, this is what the jury is drinking.
Yes, because back then the technology and all that was
different.
Prevalent. Even back then, but this is what they drinking.
Yes. Okay.
But how I ultimately get exonerated is a whole process. There's a psychological aspect of it. Right? Then there's as a result of it's awakening. It's as a result of awakening. You're drawing and you're actually really drawing on deep levels of frequencies and energies and aspirations and focal points and probabilities, and because you got to understand where you at. And how do you get out of here if you look at the court system as one way, and if that don't, then the door is shut. Is there any other ways in which I can examine that are possible routes, to freedom? And it was the quantum field, the probability, the probable routes that got me here through the court system. And by that I mean this. Once I went through my administrative appeal process, they denied me without opinion. They did give me, at the appellate division, they gave me a hearing. They said, well, the police used deception and trickery into seizing this kid and bringing him into his possession. But we want to see at the time that they have it, did they have probable cause, sufficient evidence to validate or substantiate this illegal seizure. So they leaned towards the prosecution's witness, Maxine Bell, as that key element of probable cause and some variation, some circumstantial stuff to try to build a picture around. But now when they called her from Alabama all the way back, she comes back and said, well, she can't live with this no more. She got to tell the truth, and admitted that she lied on me. That blows up the whole question of probable cause. And the fact that she recanted her testimony. Now you got to turn that information to me because it's exculpatory. And once I get it, you know me, I'm going right into court with it. She denies it. Appellate division turns the other way, denies it, no opinion. They're just shutting the doors on it. I go all the way to the appellate to try to get into the federal courts, right? Some of my petitions are mixed. Constitutional dimensions, some are state claims. I could go back and do a collateral attack and re-argue to the appellate division and be able to establish, you know,
grounds.
Grounds that are all constitutional in dimension.
Yes.
You know, so re-argument, reconsideration, and appeal based on ineffective assistance of counsel. I got in them and came back. They denied it. So now the court system has closed the door.
Okay.
So when you look, you know, when you looking into the future and you're looking for light because you got a life sentence and you got a type of crime that they're gonna make you die in a cage. Now you can't see no light. Now you gotta find out where I'm at that stage in my development.
Right. Okay.
Because at that stage, I'm creating light.
And how are you doing that? Sitting in there and they keep denying you. You sitting there year upon year. You having a little bit of hope from different things that you might have studied in the law library. You might have found a general statute that might coincide with something you was thinking or anything of the sort. And as you putting things into effect and going into appellate court and going after your case and they're denying it, how were you still able to navigate through the system and do the great things you have done? And a lot of, obviously we haven't touched on that. So I want to touch on, as you're going to put this appeal in, you're fighting for year upon year and you're learning yourself and stuff like that, but you have done great things while in the system. So tell me about those things that you have done while in the system, while you was going through this appeal before you left out. So what things you have done, like programs, events, people you've met, and of course, that inspired your drive to keep going.
I was introduced, you know, just let me say, in like prison at that time, it was like a house of knowledge.
Yes.
You got to understand that the consciousness that came in was these brothers from those movements.
Yes.
Muslims.
Yes.
Nation of Islam, Pan-Africanists, Israelites, the Hebrew, the you know, all these are conscious brothers, and you know, that's trapped. You know, they standing up on one level and they're being trapped, and then these traps out there, so they're coming in the system with this awareness.
Right.
You know, they walk pretty hard and they're kicking it.
Right.
I'm hearing stuff that I didn't learn in school.
Yes,
that's a fact.
I'm not learning it. You know, I see the brothers in the street, but I'm in the street life. I'm locked in.
Right.
Right. But now these brothers are talking stuff, and it's different now.
Yes.
Because one of the most significant things I learned about incarceration is that it helps you to see yourself from a different perspective. Because if when you live in a society, right, when you mention about institution, how do you evolve within the institution? I'm not in the institution.
Right.
I'm outside of the institution. I'm trapped in the institution, but psychologically, I'm outside of the institution.
Right.
Because I don't ascribe to no more institution. That was one of the essential elements in my empowerment journey.
Okay.
Right? I had to detoxify my psyche of what I've been taught and believed about the nature of reality, about who I am supposed to be based on what somebody else is telling me, when I'm the one who's viewing the universe.
Right.
Everything comes through me.
Right.
And when I close my eyes, it don't exist no more. And that's the same for you, and that's the same for you. That's the same for that glass that sits there.
Right.
And when I begin to understand the deeper questions and issues about consciousness, then it became my weapon. I traveled outside the prison.
Yes. And around what time of age you think you started to tap into this wisdom? Because when you first walked in, like you said, you was going through emotions, you was putting the pills in, so you was focused on that. But around what age when you started to settle down and start to rationalize?
Okay, I went into I came in 75, you know, I went through that appeal process. I went into the 80s. Like they sent me upstate. Bam. I'm going into the 80s. Now, you know, this is where I'm being introduced to knowledge, information. Brother Joe, read this book here, Chancellor Whitney, Destruction of Black Civilization. Akima Habudi, Enemy Clash of Races. You know, all these, you know, people are introducing things to you. You know, when you're reading stuff and your views are changing. Your perceptions about, you know, you're like, wait a minute. This ain't the picture I was given.
Yeah, for real.
So now, and I'm the type of person that I'm not reading. I'm not, you know, ain't nobody giving me nothing.
Right.
I'm going to examine it. I'm going to make my determination, and I'm going to use it as a tool that I need in order to, whether it's to empower myself or to achieve a goal.
Facts. Facts.
That's it. I'm not here to, for anybody in hierarchy position to tell me to be a good whatever.
Yes.
This is my description of life.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you what my description of life is and my interpretation of that.
Yes.
So while you're incarcerated and you're gaining the knowledge, you're gaining knowledge of self, because that's knowledge of self. So you're gaining knowledge of self. You're getting more in tune spiritually with your creator because you're praying all the time. You're seeking that guidance and stuff. And then you're also putting in the... You ain't praying at this time.
I'm not praying.
You just...
When I told you I detoxified myself, what I did, I put everything down. What you told me about God, my religion, I'm a Christian. My whole family, I got my grandfathers, my grandfather's parents were missionaries. They came from Madagascar. And they taught the word around the United States. He has 8 brothers and sisters. They were born in every different state. They always were moving. I got uncles and all that was in the church and all that. Like my people in my family that's into religion and spirituality and all that. You know, all those things is a part of that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But these are the things that you inherited that molds and shape who you are. Now, when I'm I'm questioning everything.
That's right.
Because this girl was murdered viciously. And I know the creator could have bam. I didn't have to go through this. This is the questions we always ask when we find ourselves in this situation. But somebody else who has a different interpretation, who may be going home tonight, sleeping, and they tell you, well, God has a different mission for you. And that may be true too, but if you don't pick up the mission, you won't get
the message.
You won't get the message, you won't pass the test. But that's the way it goes, that you have to make the initiative. I had to find out who I was, so when I detoxed, I put everything down. I questioned everything. Don't give me nothing, I'm questioning it. And when I put everything down, it's like when you turn the lights out, turn off the noise, turn everything out, you go into dark, and when you, all you can do is perceive. And I found out that's who I was. And when I found out that was the seed of power, that I seized that. And then I played a cosmic game with consciousness. What I did is everything that like hurt, pain, anger, they were entities trying to get into the seed of power. If I surrender it to it, I can give emotions to a situation that's relevant because I need emotions to make a point to achieve a goal, and I give it to emotions, right? And emotions carry me through. But after that, I departmentalize it because I'm in control. But if I don't do that, emotions would seize me, and next you know I'll be walking around crying all fucking day.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Because I've given up the seed of power. So I played that game by understanding, you know what I'm saying, the way the mind works. What I did is I said, okay, once I began to understand that, then I started to analyze things, and I accepted the things that were relevant for me because I'm the player. I make the decision. I'm the particle. I'm that God particle, that one of infinite particles who gets a moment to perform. And this time I'm not, because I'm waking up. They don't. I took the cage, right, and I turned it into a cave. I couldn't wait to get back to myself, because I'm wrestling with conscience. I'm looking. Listen, I was out there. Listen, I was talking to witnesses in Bellport in prison. I had private investigators. I had people looking in my files while I was in prison. Once I learned about ideal construction and that you create your own reality.
Okay. So
now what happened is that became like the basis of my. So when I come into Green Haven, they got these movements going on. But I'm at this stage now that I done went through a healing process. That anger, that rage, and all that. I learned that that's energy. Same thing with feelings and emotions. The effects are different, but it's energy. It's a pure energy. And if I could seize that energy and transmute it, then I can take fear and make it rage, or make it courage. I can turn. I can heal psychologically at that level when I can deal with mental chemistry, alchemy. You follow what I'm saying? And these are the sciences that our ancestors were doing. These are some of their educational systems, but these are the systems that when you were conquered, these are the systems that the Europeans are running the world. Now we look around and everybody's running us. You have to ask what happened. And I asked that question in prison. And when I came in, them brothers was in them movements and they were fighting. They were battling. I went into, first time I went into Black Studies. The Malcolm X Black Studies program in Greenhaven Correctional Facility. And when I went in there, they were getting ready to fight with the administration. They wanted to shut the prison down. Because they said the teacher was teaching hate. They had a brother in there named Kadir Shia. They called him Blood. They called him the High Priest. Right? And Blood, when Blood teach at nighttime, it's packed. People are standing up in the back. And I'm talking about, you got guys, they're coming from other facilities, and these dudes are sharp. You coming up there, they sent civilians in there, man, they quit. They said, listen, man, these dudes can teach, they teaching me, I can't do it. Because they knew their stuff. So I'm looking at them, I'm checking this worldview out, And I was in Black Studies for 2 years till they kicked me out.
Why they kicked you out?
They kicked me
Too
out.
passionate.
No, they kicked me out because they said, you got to get up out of here, right? But I had a routine, I had a program, right? So when they kicked me out, I went into the organizational area in J School. But at that time, my foundation was laid. I was coming to start some, I wanted to get involved. So I went to the Green, and I went and set out a program, and they had a communication course. I had a presentation, and the brother that gave, he said, I like this, but they gave me an invitation, right, and asked me to be on the board. And then they put me on the board. And from there, I was in the Project Build organization. And then ultimately, the brother came to me and said, listen, I'm giving this to you. I said, you sure? I said, man, all these brothers, because he got a big follower. He said, no, I'm giving this to you because I know you're the only one that can handle this. And he was the imam. Because they was running a lot of stuff in J Schools, just like a lot of the other brothers. Protestant Center area, they had the pre-release areas, it was a program facility, and it was like a lot of the brothers that ended up there, a lot of them came out of the Attica Rebellion, a lot of them, that came from other places, and they kind of met. And these dudes here, they know how to work the system, and they knew what they were doing. But there were two men. There were two men there that was working on a concept. They was working on a study. And they was working on it for a number of years, going back and forth. I mean, they were really getting it in. And in 1980 or something like that, the brothers wanted to shut the prison down. 89, they want to shut the prison. They said, man, we tired of this. We want good time. We want minimum wages, and we want the right to vote. Right? So they want to shut it down. The OGs like, yo, but the young brothers like, man, and Blood brought me into one of the meetings over there. And they had a big meeting. That's when I met one of the brothers called Papa Rage, called Larry White, Muslim brother. And, he was opposing that. He was saying, better ways and all that. And anyway, before you know it, I was introduced to a brother named Eddie Ellis. And Eddie was telling me, he said, listen, he had about this program. And after the riot, when they shut down, whoever was left, we was going to pick this thing up. They had this analysis that they wanted to introduce to us and all that. One brother that came to me about it was telling me. So anyway, after the shutdown, some of us, the ones that was there, so they started these programs. And they used this analysis as a tool, right, to introduce a new concept, a new way of thinking about the criminal justice system as it related to Black and Latinos in particular, because all of the evidence pointed it to a target of these particular groups, and there were key structures in place like crime generative factors to generate crime and use it as a means of social control. right? Social control and economic prosperity. See, what happened is, in their studies, and we took it a step further, right? But when they laid it down, they talked about, this, like, almost 85% of the people in the prison system was from the Black and Latino communities in specific areas in New York City, like out of 23, out of 144 assembly districts, less than like 23, 24 of them, they comprise almost 85% of the people in the prison system. Right. And then when we identified where they were coming from, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, all the predominantly Black communities. So what's going on in these communities that's not going on
in these other ones? Yeah, for real.
What's going on over there? So us, we dig it. And we find in these failing institutions and how they're contributory to crime. Then we find out.
While in prison, you're studying this stuff, and how you get access to this data?
Objectivity. We don't, because you in prison don't mean you. Listen, we don't connect with people. We got people doing research. Information. We're writing for stuff. You get access to certain things. You got to think outside the box. If you let somebody mold your perceptive views about reality a certain way, that's the way you're going to live it out. If you get up every day and drink all day and don't work and you acting the fool, and then you're going to look to do that until you're ready to die. Then you realize that you got a psyche.
Yeah.
I got a power base. I'm going to use this thing. I'm going to materialize what I want. You know what I'm saying? So what you're going to do is you're going to be jumping the fields. You're not going to follow that pattern that leads there. You're going to deal with variations, and you're going to change and jump the fields and travel different routes in order to get where you want to go. That's the empowerment process. It's an internal transformation. You got to use the power within yourself to materialize the world that you want, the world that you expect, the world that you want to have. And if you don't, then you die fighting or you die trying. You don't succumb to somebody else's description of how you should live and how you should carry yourself based on their expectations. Because now they have just taken your moment. And you can't get that back.
Yeah, you definitely.
Because you know what? When you live forever, you ain't going to want to come back. You got too much stuff to do.
So, so that has been missing in the prison system once I got there. I did receive some knowledge from sprinkles here and there, but you had a team of people, in the 80s and in the 70s, it was a different world. It was more unified, more structure and stuff. God willing, we get back to that unity, but I get it. I understand. But to your little cousins, to the ones that's out here in Bridgeport that haven't had the opportunity to meet a great person to give them that knowledge, to put them through that space or whatever, and they're in that boat and situation, like what form of advice you would be able to give that person to say, like, since they're not able to get next to somebody with the knowledge that you have, because like I said, in the system or out in the streets, people walking past each other every day, they're not able to pause and say, hey, brother, I love you. You know what I mean? Total strangers don't do that no more. Or stop and say, hey, you read this newspaper? Like, you won't see people out there. So give me some advice that I could bring back and give to the brothers that's going through situations in the system right this second, and how they could be able to channel their mind state and focus on something like you have. Yeah, because there's people that's incarcerated that will watch this. There's people that's in the halfway house that will watch this, and people that's actually going to court and stuff like that. So give me some advice that, brothers is in that system situation. How can they be able to separate different forms of energy and be able to channel in like that? Because we're in a fast pace out here. We ain't gonna be able to have that pause moment you was blessed with, unfortunately.
Okay, you see this book here?
Yes.
This is called Unshackling the Truth Triumphant Over Injustice, right?
Okay.
And in this book, I talk about example models, because everything that works for me might not work for you.
That's a fact.
For you. Because your psychological viewpoints are different. If you're on a tree and you're looking that way, you don't see the same thing as somebody on a leaf looking that way. You see what I'm saying? So there'd be some, your approach, your viewpoint may be significant in a different type of way. What I say is that first you gotta come to terms with yourself.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And then here I talk about that process, the empowerment. You gotta. Earlier I talked about detoxification. You don't just do that physically to keep yourself healthy. You got to do it psychologically because you have been programmed. You have been raped. Yes. We have all been programmed. Yes. I know because I come out of that program. When I did, I was like their threat. They moved me out of the movements for that reason. But that tells me something about what I'm doing is right. So what I would tell people is that, first of all, I would tell them, you got to read, the empowerment, not to accept it the way it is, but to read it in a way that it tells you that you need to look at what it is you're doing, what it is you want in life, where you are in your station in life, your position, your situation. All these things are factors, they're elements. And when you do asset mapping, you can go on the board and just write all that out and see yourself in all different. Now you got to put some organizational structure to it. You start by priority. First thing, I got to get a job. I need money. I mean, if I got to get a job, I got to want to work. When I came home, I didn't have nothing. I'm coming out of a cage. Yes. I go work. I'm working in a salt mine. Where I work at in the wintertime, there's no heat. In the summertime, there's no air conditioning. So you got people, young boys, is quitting after that Friday when they get their check. 2, 3 years, 4 years. Because I'm on parole, and I know that a job is a prerequisite not only for for the parole criteria, but for me to become independent and take care of myself. I can't go through life, depending on somebody to take care of me. So I have to prioritize what it is that I want and what it is that I need to accomplish what it is that I'm trying to get out of life. But I gotta want to get something. I can't be the robot. I can't wait for somebody to put the
oil in me.
Like, okay, we end up at the park drinking all day and we ain't doing nothing, but we're doing the same old junk. If we're gonna get together, let's strategize on trying to build an empire. Let's try to strategize on trying to change the situation to something better, whatever. And then you search. That stuff is all online now. So there's stuff that like I had some stuff that you go to the box for. You can get all that stuff. It's right there. You know what they say when you get for black folk, if you want to hide something, what they say? Put it in the book. It's right there. It's on. And them brothers and them sisters out there, they talking. They know. They waking up. And the amazing thing is that some of the things we went through in prison to wake up, and I'm looking at the way they're waking up now, and it's it's almost like I can drink off that frequency because I know. But we went through some stuff to wake up. Yes. We lost brothers in the system, like Butch Harvey and them. They were known for educating that they were killed by correction officers. They've been killing us in there just like they're killing us out there, and it's a shame, but it's a fact. I'm not giving you nothing that I can't. It's a fact.
So you growing up in this system, going through this, getting this knowledge, and then there's other religions and stuff, and there's other races and stuff like Hispanics and Caucasian. Are they having these separate like groups, or y'all were like y'all were predominant just black, or y'all just accepted whoever just wanted that knowledge? Like how was that? Like what's that?
What we did in the movement, what we did with the non-traditional approach to criminal and social justice, we looked at the numbers.
Okay.
Like they looked at a 40-year period from the time that they were studying this in the up to the 1990s.
Okay.
And that 40-year period is when the complexion of the prison system changed. Prior to that, it was predominantly white. New York State, but because the populace wasn't as the numbers wasn't as high as it is as those years went on. And then these movements, the attacks on the black community because of their empowerment, self-reliant efforts and all that, they had to destroy that because they're eating billions of dollars off you. I need you to bust each other in the head to shoot it out. To bathe in that, because I'm eating off that. I'm building empires off that stuff. I'm generating hundreds of billions of dollars off that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You this gang, you bring it to the streets, you bring it to the prison, and I love it. I love it. And you dying either in prison or you dying to the bullet. And you bathing in that. I said, but man, we've been had straight up, and that stuff gotta, you listen, I seen them dudes wake up. We started a program, Eddie Ellis, that's the Resurrection Study Group.
The Resurrection Study Group, okay.
Right? We did it in the Protestant Center, Faith and Life. It was one of 3 programs, 3 children that were born out of the non-traditional approach to criminal and social justice. The other things were organizations, because we established what we call the Political Action Committee, which later became Prisoners Alliance with Community. And what we did is we presented a whole new way of thinking about criminal justice. We saying that we have aligned ourselves with our community because we woke up and find out what's going on, what they're doing, right? And then we turn to say, well, for the prisoner, you got a debt to pay. That's the 5R concept, the concept of reconciliation. You cannot build the type of interface that would solidify these blocks of different ideological frameworks that black people have in order to become strong enough to change their situation, or young people have to be strong enough to change themselves. I don't care how you feel as a society, to change the society. Those things, you can't really do that if you don't really, first of all, you're going to have to come in tune with yourself, and you're going to have to know what's going on. But the main thing what we did with the NTA is that when we formulated these different organizations and groups and all that, and we presented these teachings to the communities, now they were becoming educated about, wait a minute, we have people from Detroit, Chicago, and all that coming to these conferences. And they're like looking at...
And y'all in prison and bringing people from society into the prison and learn this stuff?
I got a picture of me in the Afro presenting my program to the legislators.
Wow. Wow.
Listen, it was a great experience, but these brothers were so intelligent. Particularly the group I was involved. Like when Eddie Ellis left, right? What they did, they moved them out. They seen the movement growing, so they moved them out. So Eddie came to me and said, "Listen," he said, they call him Chief Shaka, right? They say, Chief Shaka, listen, man. Like Eddie said, "Man, I want you to, run the program because you understand this." And I said, "Listen, Eddie, don't worry about it. Not only am I going to run, I'm going to take it to another level." That's what I told him, right in front of Luke Mott, right? Because Eddie that was that Resurrection Study Group, and he laid this, when Eddie came in and laid this thing down. The way they were presenting this stuff to us, he was like, "Oh wow, it was awakening." And then when we got it, we took it. We made a connection with the outside world. Eddie said, "Listen, I need to contact Mendez." Mendez was coming in the early parts. I'm dealing with them with the non-traditional approach. And he was Dr. Gary Mendez for the National Trust for the Development of African American Men. He started his own national organization. He was the one that he did a big piece with the Urban League when he was with them, and then he started that. But he was also inspired by Malcolm X. He had went through one of his speeches, and then that's how he got involved in the movie. He started coming into prison, and he came in. He got a grant from the Calhoun Foundation, and that was the only prison program that they sponsored, right? And then he came in and he brought, because we developed all these components. I separated them into directorship. We had a computer lab in the 1990s in the Maximum facility in Greenhaven facility. The whole college area, we took over the whole college area and put a computer. They were learning computer literacy back then. And then we went and developed these programs, and then they tried to start moving guys. So everywhere they went, they started growing all over the state. So now it got to the point people say, "Yo, like them resurrection dudes, don't let it, because they're gonna take over your program." We wasn't taking over nothing. We was bringing this new, and these young boys was eating. They understood they was recognizing the role we were playing with the things we do to each other as a people, and they would change it. And next you know, these dudes started getting into it, and then it became like a threat. So in the year 2000, they had the 2000 shutdown, so they used that as a basis to try to knock down the movement. They moved me out. Right. They sent me to a medium facility when I wasn't even, they said I wasn't even qualified. Right. They sent me to a medium facility. And then when I got there, then because of the crime, they tried to force me, right, to, they try to get me to take a sex offender program to admit that, you know, and this program requires an admission of guilt. Right. So I said, I'm not taking that crap. Right. I said, you crazy? So, you know, I said, I'm not taking no program because at that time, I've been in over 50, completed over 50 programs. I done created programs. I'm doing empowerment programs. I'm building structures on in the conferences. I'm building the oversight commissions and all that stuff. I said, I ain't got no problem taking no program. Don't tell me I got to go somewhere and say I'm guilty, right? Because I'm not guilty. Right. And that was my problem with the parole board. Every time I went, they kept hitting me because that was the requirement. Yes.
Yeah, they wanted you to admit guilt.
So if I didn't admit to guilt, they were going to make me die in the cage. Yes. So they hit me 6 times. That was 12 additional years. Right? And even though they were doing it, I was getting closer and closer because at that time I had connected with an innocent network in New Jersey, and they had roadblocks on. So we really couldn't. So I knew they was hiding something. Yeah, I spoke to some people. I got some connections, and somebody was looking. They couldn't find nothing. I said something. She said something's wrong. They run into a brick wall. I know something's going on. Right, and I'm pushing. Then I get this other lawyer. You know, but the DNA stuff come out. That's become a problem. So I come out, I contacted this fraternity because around the country they're saying, oh, you know, all these DNA cases, people are innocent. So he says, well, Suffolk County, they initiated a DNA review board for old cases, you know, that. So I jump right, you know me, because I'm I'm outside the prison.
Word.
Come on.
Fact.
Astral projection. I'm outside the prison. So, bam, I'm doing this intent. I'm begging them. Please, any evidence you got that you can test for DNA, test it against me. You said I'm guilty. That means obviously you can shut me up. Right. Test it again. Anything you. I'm begging you. Right. Then finally they contact me. Some things happened, they contact me. Because I was outside. Yeah. They contact me. Now when they contact me, they say, oh, we got some DNA, But if you give us our DNA, that means we're going to run it against any crimes ever committed and all that. So I said, Road Max, listen, you can run against any crimes ever committed, any crimes that will ever be committed, and any crimes that's going to be committed in the future. Right. You test any and everything you got against my DNA. And I gave them my DNA. Yes. And at the time I gave them my DNA, they sent me way upstate as a punishment for me not submitting to their program requirements under a program mandate policy. And they put me way up there by Attica.
Yeah.
Like 300-something miles away from my family. Keep me over there until I take a sex offender program. And knock me right out the movie. You know what I did?
What?
I turned it up again. Yeah. You know what I did? I went in because I already understood. I'm well learned. I understood the history. I went back and then I came back and then I raised my question of faith before the court. I said, wait a minute. I said, in 1976, I stood up, I raised my right hand, I swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And I did it, not only on God's name, but before the Holy Bible. And I said, when I testified on God's name and before the Holy Bible, on the religious text, I testified to being innocent. Now you're telling me, in order for me to move closer to my home as a punishment, you're going to keep me way over here because I don't take a program that requires me to say that I'm guilty. And if I go and say that I'm guilty, then you would have made me accountable to God in the hereafter, because in the 13th Amendment it says, thou shalt not use the name of thy Lord in vain. People now hold him guiltless who uses his name in vain. I'm accountable to what I said. You made me accountable when you invoke that. You made it a religious sacred oath. Now you're trying to make me break it. They never heard these arguments. Because I'm outside the box. If I was thinking like the average person, I'd be looking at the law books looking for an argument that's not there. But because the way I think, I'm creating my way through. So when I come back at them, they're like, whoa. Because now this is going to start opening up some doors. So the Attorney General, they moving to push it out. And summary judgment, when you do, you do your federal lawsuits, your summary judgment, you pass summary judgment, you got some issues there. And we went to summary judgment. I'm doing this pro se. I do this pro se, I get through summary judgment, the judge said, not only do he ask a question of law, a question of constitutional amendment, then he turned around because I proceeded in formal purpose and gave me a lawyer. Once he gave me a lawyer, that was it. And at the same time, then they want to talk with me.
And how many years you were incarcerated up until this point? By the time you received the lawyer and you like, okay, I'm finally back in front of y'all. I have somebody with their ears open and they're finally listening to me.
The day of my exoneration?
No, not the exoneration. How old were you? I mean, how many years were you have done by the time you were able to even just get in front of a courtroom and somebody finally is listening to you? You put in how many years? Like 30-something years?
I did 33 years inside the case.
Okay, and yes, 33 years incarcerated. Okay.
For a violation of 33.
Okay.
Right. But I continued to fight the case for 44 years. Right, and I was able to get exonerated after 40-something years, and there was a lot of other factors in that. Right. Some of the other evidence, like over that time, they begin to, when we look. What we did is we went back and took the whole case, because they denied the DNA evidence and everything. Right? They released me from prison, and when they released me that year, my lawyer was for the lawsuit was saying that they wanted to talk, they wanted to talk because by releasing me, my case would become moot. They don't have to entertain it no more, right? And my other lawyer, because when I gave them my DNA, I never heard from them no more. Something like contact, they ain't answering. So I called my trial attorney back in the years. He was still there because I'm outside. I called, I just like walking to us, knocking on his door. Listen, man, what? So he gets on. He said, "Oh no, I talked to them. They said as soon as they get something, they gonna let me know. Blah blah blah." But they said, "You go to the parole board, you will be released." So I went to the parole board. And I maintained my innocence. I made my position clear, and they released me from prison. 2007.
So, but you hear that they about to release you. Like, how you feeling? What's going through your mind? People have passed away. People have had children. People done grown up. The world is different as of you known it. Even though you say that you're there, but you're not physically there. So now. You know that reality is setting in. You manifested your destiny. You're about to get to society. Like you're like, what the hell? like, what are you thinking? Like, what's going on? Like, what is the mind state of sitting there that long?
I'm really
yeah, like.
To me, actually, it was. I didn't feel like I was being free. Yeah, I didn't feel free. It was a release. I got released from prison. Yeah. But I still had stringent parole criteria. Right? And
that's true.
And to be honest, because when I came, I made my position known to the parole officer. I told him, I said, listen, I'm innocent of this crime. And at the time I was fighting the DNA evidence and all that, and I explained to him, I said, this is my position. And there was a requirement that when you come out, you got to take a sex offender, and I went and spoke to the dude, and I let him know, I said, I'm going to let you know, right? what the situation is. I'm not taking a sex offender program. If you try to force me in here, I'm going to take you to court. Like, and I explained to him, I gave him all my stuff, and I told him what my situation was. And he said, don't even worry about that. He wrote it off. And the my parole officer, he said, man, he wrote all that up. So I ain't putting all them restrictions on him. And they didn't really bother me like that because they knew what I was doing.
Yeah, they could see it all.
The persistence in being able to address this situation, not like the way when you asked the question, how did I feel because I've been away so long? Right. Like, I've never been away. Like, the person that's coming out now is not the same person that came in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's a fact.
I can't go back and, like, tell you, like when I was 18 years old, like, that was the boy in me, but that boy gave me my existence. So the boy was, you know, the phrase, the boy is the man's father, that, you know, he had to make a decision. And whatever decision made, there were possible versions that boy could have became, right? And he made the decisions that created the crossroad from boyhood to manhood that laid the foundation for my presence. But it was his initiative that brought me here. If he had made different decisions, then this reality wouldn't exist, you know, in the physical form. It would just be a probability.
So you come into society, you're starting to look stuff up pertaining to your case. You're starting to get more information. You're reaching out to different people and stuff like that. How long did it take for them to give you, I can't say reparations or anything, but because 30-something years ain't enough money in the world. But when did they, like, basically say, okay, you're innocent? Like, when did that not guilty comfortability?
What we decided to do is we took all the evidence in the case. Once they denied the DNA, we knew the DNA clearly showed that the victim struggled with someone, and whoever she struggled with, she extracted some male DNA. She had some female male DNA under scrapings that did not match me. Then we went and looked at the expert witness. Now, we had some of the foremost authorities in the country, you know, in these fields, pathology and confessions and all this other stuff. And these expert witnesses, they're saying, wait a minute, that confession is impossible. It goes against the physical evidence. They said, first of all, when the victim was, the confession is saying that he killed the person, right? And then, no, he stabbed the person, you know, to stop her from hollering help. And then he ended up strangling the person and killing them. But all the evidence showed that she was killed first and the puncture wounds happened afterwards. And then they saying it's impossible for the pit to have caused it because they had one prong that was like 2/3 deep into her back, almost hit her liver. So how you gonna have a single prong on an even prong pick penetrate that without the other one? So there was a lot of evidence that proved that it's really not even possible that to happen. And then the big gun was, we went and I did a FOIA request. 1989, I did a FOIA request for everything in the record. I want everything to the district attorney. They're supposed to have sent me everything. Then around this time, just before I got exonerated, you know, you're going into like 2000, you know, like 18, and you know, so I request a copy. I request a FOIA request from the police department. They denied. I requested from the district attorney at the time. The district attorney, who was the chief district attorney, he was blocking my case because he was the district attorney at the time. That the district attorney I had, they were partners.
Oh, okay.
They were, you know, they worked together. In fact, they had a whole team. And then when he left, he became attorney and pulled some of them in. They had a dream team. You know, attorneys that were like, you know, taking high-profile cases because they had connected to the district attorney's office. So this dude gets involved in that corruption and it catches up to him. Bam, he falls. Now, prior to that, I went into the appellate division arguing the DNA, and they had the district attorney, Lady Rosalind. She comes in there. This is a fishing equity. They're going all against me. You know that there's no case and all this other stuff. And then when this dude's photo, when he falls, that causes commotion and everything. And then I do a FOIA request to the district attorney's office. So now they got a guy, Tim Senior, he's coming in. He was with the, I think the police department or someone, I don't know, he was with someone. He came in as head district attorney, and he's coming in with this commitment to clean up the county. Because Suffolk County was, you know, they had a history of foul play and abuse and all this other stuff. So he come to clean up the county, and we requested, they said, well, listen, this stuff is all over the place. As soon as we get it, we'll, you know, send it to you. So they sent me the information. And when I got the police report, I got information about somebody that they were investigating 5 months after I got arrested. Right around my birthday, they were interviewing this person. Then they took me to do 2 polygraph tests.
Wow.
But they got the name blacked out. So we don't know who this is. I'm like, wait. So this is now saying, I knew they was hiding something. So why is you investigate, and the same police that was in the head police that assaulted me, and that was in the head police in my investigation, was the one interviewing this dude, took him to get a polygraph test, and then took him to New York to get another one by a foremost authority, a polygraph test at that time in the country. And then when I get the police reports, they give me everything. They don't know what they give me. Everybody else is dead. I'm still fighting. They don't know what they're giving me. When they give me this information, I see all this information about the dude who places himself at the crimes. Drop evidence. That pit, they found out it was his. Drop evidence at the crime scene around the time it occurred, and ran to his sister's house, was in a completely different route that he should have been going. He was supposed, the sister lived this way, the party's this way, the sisters live this way, he's going this way. He run across a body and go home. That's bull jump.
Yeah, right.
But he put himself at the crime scene, and they hid it for 40 years. So I had to add that on top of these experts that saying all this stuff is junk. Then they said the testimony of these experts, like they saying that the fibers is junk science. That you can't make no determinant because you don't have
enough.
You don't have enough the probabilities from to determine if it came from this or that. You have nothing to compare it to. How do you make a statement like that? But when you tell that to a jury because of who you are, then they're gonna eat off that. Now we're ripping all this up. Now I know now. They got this guy comes in. The first thing he does, he starts the innocent review board and looks at some of these other cases. So, bam, we wrapping it up now. We ripping it up. So the next move is, I know how Suffolk County is, so I'm not going out there to just present my issue here. I'm going after exposure. So I'm going to do it. I'm going after a media story. Right? So we set our stuff up, we put together our motion, we sent it to the review. They got into it, they started getting into it. Once they got into it, Tom Myers, we contacted him, talked to him, he came and he ate on it. Because he was the one that wrote that, he wrote a report in 1986 about Suffolk police. And in that report, they showed that Suffolk County police had the highest conviction rate in the country and the highest turnover rate. But 95% of their conviction rate, 85% of them are confessions of torture, brutality, and everything. So all of their cases was relying solely on confession. So when they looked at these cases, they started finding that there were people that they they forced them to confess, and then they found other evidence, or the autopsy came back, and what somebody told them they put in the confession was wrong, so they it was a lie, so the autopsy proved it never happened, then they got sued. And these are the same main detective that's off the whole investigation, the main detective in my case.
Yeah.
So now they're saying that They've been investigated by the Bar Association, the Appellate Circuit Court of Appeals. They've been law firm all throughout these periods of time while they were committing terror. You know what I'm saying? In those counties. So all this stuff started coming out. You know how it is when truth manifests itself. You know what I'm saying?
It comes like a ball.
We start pulling it all up now. So now we're putting together motion and everything. The dude is doing a story. So he's doing a big story. He ended up doing one of the biggest stories in Newsday paper. Newsday's a very big paper. That's the biggest paper on now. He did a very big story on it. And he laid that story out, and they had the case for almost a year. Because they had this guy, this district attorney master, he had came out of Manhattan. This dude was real good. And he had some real good people with him. You know what I'm saying? And they were looking at it objectively for the first time. And for the first time, a district attorney looked at my case objectively. They didn't follow the status quo. Because the status quo was they would get in line with it and then
as everybody else.
So I was not freed by justice, I was freed by righteousness. When the right people get into these positions of power and they do the right things, then you see the validity of how the system can work. But when you have people that are in these systems doing the things that they're doing and they're unchecked, no accountability, then you have a messy society, which you're seeing today.
Dang. So after 44 years of enduring this, you finally get that relief of not guilty. You finally being able to prove your case and everything. Now you're still not feeling some type of way. You're still not feeling like relieved, like woof or woosah, or you still just in awe, like I'm still on a mission. I'm not done with y'all yet. Like I'm still coming. Like
after I get exonerated?
Yes, after because you've been home some years.
Exoneration is the ultimate goal.
Yes, of course, absolutely. That's a fact.
That's the ultimate goal. The book is the closing chapter. It's my version of the story. You may listen to the interviews. You may watch some of the things about it, or people may talk about it. But this is from my words. This is my version. These are 2 lines that deal with the empowerment, right, and the exoneration person, right? We're not talking. There's a lot of things that happen. Here's a microcosm of the same thing: prison in the community. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that this part of the story I had to tell. And it's not. I don't. And this is the part of the story I had to tell because I wanted mainly melanated people to understand. You know what I'm saying? That I don't care what situation they put you in, and I don't care who you are. If you got a good heart, and somebody abuse you or somebody take advantage of you, you are not obligated to accept oppression. You are not obligated.
Yes, that's a fact.
You know why? Because if somebody keep teaching you that when you die there's nothing left, or when you die you're going to hell for what you do wrong and all that, they can continue to control you that way. But when you recognize when you die you wake up again, and it's just as important, you know what I'm saying, as waking up, because you become more aware of who you are, then all these strings and restrictions they got on you, it dissipates, it falls apart. And that's how you free yourself. You gotta get outside the system.
So it's one of the reasons why you came up with the picture here about releasing the shackles.
Yeah, you have to break the shackles. You have to break the shackles. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because you're never going to be free. I would have never wanted to walk out of prison the way I came there. Absolutely. I was a wreck, and they but they show. I learned so much about how to harness energy. I learned so much how to use, like power as a source. How to take, hurt and pain and turn it
Energy,
intellectual pursuit. You learn that stuff because now you playing with you operating subjectively. You ain't nobody dictating, defining for you, and everybody get a chance to do it. You got to decide how you want to do it. That's right. I made my decision.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I appreciate you. Believe me, I appreciate you. Like I said, Gloves Off, we don't sugarcoat, beat around the bush or bite our tongue. I will be giving this to the world to see. Obviously, I want people to know I want you to tell people where they could get the books from. I will be taking a picture of the books. They will see it clear up close. So you could just say where the books are located on Amazon, and say the name of the books, obviously.
Well, this book here, I took out the print, right? This is Poetic Grade Visionary Magnetic, right? Because I'm going to redo that.
Okay.
But this book here is Unshackling the Truth, Triumphant Over Injustice. You can get this book, Barnes & Noble or Amazon. You can get it online.
Hardcover, soft cover.
This is the hardcover. We got soft cover, or you can, we got the soft cover.
Okay.
But I ordered some of them books too because I'll probably do a talk about why I wrote this book.
Yes.
I'll probably talk about some things that I never talked about in this book.
Yeah.
And I won't be talking about it for long. Right.
So, a question on my side note, because as I was listening to you, my dad knows that I've listened to certain people. As a gentleman, I don't want to say his name because not that I don't want to give him his blessings, but I don't until he pay me. but I listen to seminars. Do you think about going out and speaking to the people in the community? And I'm not saying abroad. I'm saying within your own community. You have nephews, you have little cousins such as me and everyone else that we look up to you in our own individual way, if that makes sense. And you might want us to view you, like you articulate yourself very well, you know what I'm saying? But we have cousins, that might look at you and glorify that you went to prison. You get what I'm saying? Versus the other side of you. So I that's what I'm saying. Would you like this? But some people might say it saved you, and look at the way that you are as a.
I saved myself. Everything I did on my own.
It's the words that we use.
Remember I told you when I detoxified myself, I put all the systems down. Then I picked up the ones that were relevant to me, and I used them as tools to get me to where I needed to go. I put myself in control once I woke up. But before then, I was being controlled the same way. It's as simple as it's simple.
That's fact. That's fact. That's facts. That's facts. That's facts. I appreciate you, cuz we will be doing this again soon. But
give me a call. I'll ride down.
Definitely.
Find a little spot, we kick it.